Hello, my name is Father Jack Costello. I'm the rector of Epiphany Cathedral. I want to thank you for taking time to get to know our community a little better by viewing our webpage. In this part of the webpage, I give a short reflection on one of the previous Sunday scripture. I'd like to speak about Paul's letter to Timothy, which we read this past weekend. I'm sure most people know who Mike Krzyzewski is. He's the coach of the Duke Devils basketball team that's won numerous national championships. He is known as being very meticulous in his pursuit of basketball success. In his book, titled Leading with the Heart, he attributes much of his success to his mother. He writes, "You want to know who my hero is? My hero is my mother. Everything she did was something that she put her own trademark on. Whatever it was," he says, "something as simple as making a batch of chocolate chip cookies. When we were a little poorer," Mike says, "she put 3 chips in every cookie. When we had a little bit more money, it would be 4 chips. But if you got a chocolate chip cookie that only had 2 chips in it, you knew it wasn't my mother's." And from that simple lesson, I've taken the principle that everything we do, he says, has our own personal signature on it. So we want to do it the best we possibly can. That's a pretty good philosophy. Put your personal stamp on everything you do, and in every worthwhile thing you do, give your very best. St. Paul puts his personal signature on the New Testament and upon the burgeoning young church of his day. And he did it like Coach K's mother. He gave his very best. He held nothing back. St. Paul was under house arrest at the time in Rome when he wrote the words we read this past weekend from the epistle to Timothy. He knew that he soon was going to die a martyr's death. He wanted his young colleague Timothy to know he had no regrets, that he would do it all over again if he could. He wanted to let it be known quite clearly that the Emperor Nero could not take his life from him. He was willing to give his life up freely for the glory of Christ. So he writes these memorable words, "For I am already being poured out like a drink of offering, a libation. And the time has come for my departure. I have fought the good fight. I have finished the race. I have kept nothing back. Now there is in store for me the crown of righteousness, which the Lord, the righteous judge, will award to me on that day, and not only to me, but also to all those who have longed for his appearing." Paul says, "I am being poured out like a drinking offering." Paul is saying that he has held nothing back. Everything was freely given to God. That was Paul's legacy. "I have fought the good fight. I have finished the race. I have kept the faith." Reverend Adrian Dellerman tells the story of Sandy, a teenager who was 16 years old. Sandy developed a very serious heart problem when he was very young. The problem seemed to be corrected by surgery, though, so Sandy returned to athletics he loved so much, particularly track and cross-country running. Once Sandy was pulling ahead to a record-setting victory in the mile run within 40 yards of the finish line, and there was no one within 40 yards of Sandy. Then either his old heart problem came back or he developed a problem with his legs. He stumbled and fell. He picked himself up and stumbled forward a few more yards and fell again. Looking around, he saw the second-place runner closing in on him. So Sandy rose to his hands and knees and crawled under the tape across the finish line and fell there, having won the race. Dillerman says they took a picture of that dramatic finish. It appeared in their local paper. When he saw it, Dillerman says he thought of Paul's words, "I have finished the race." It is an inspiring image, isn't it? Paul was totally poured out. He was about used up. He was on his hands and knees and crawling. But he could say without hesitation that he had held nothing back. He had given his all. That's rare, as we all know, in this world. All of us are inspired by people who give their all. We call them saints, heroes, legends. We put them on pedestals. It's not that they are more intelligent or more talented than we are. They simply gave more than the average person is willing to give. For I am already being poured out like a libation, and the time has come for my departure, Paul says. I have fought the good fight. I have finished the race. I have kept the faith. Now there is in store for me the crown of righteousness, which the Lord, the righteous judge, will award to me on the day of judgment, and not only to me, but also to all who have longed for his appearing. These are inspiring words. In light of Paul's writing, let me ask you some questions. The first is this: how will you be remembered? That's an important question, isn't it? How will you be remembered? Just before this team, or his team, left the locker room to play for the national championship of college football at the Fiesta Bowl in January 2003, Jim Tressel, head coach of the Ohio State Buckeyes, gathered the team for one final talk. After going over the game plan, he asked his team one simple question: how do you want to be remembered? That is a good question for a teacher or for an individual. Tressel asked, how do you want to be remembered? It must have worked, because when the game was over, the Buccaneers had pulled off one of the greatest upsets in recent memory, defeating the Miami Hurricanes, in the process ending Miami's 34-game winning streak. And they won the national championship. Let me ask you that same question. How will you be remembered? How will you be remembered as a person who gave his or her all? Or will you be remembered as a person who always took the easy way through? What will be your legacy? That's a popular word nowadays. You and I want to leave some influence on the world. How will you be remembered? What will you leave behind? The second question is, whose life will be better because you have been here? Millions of people have been touched by the life and writings of St. Paul, whose life is better because you have walked this planet. Your spouse, your children, the people with whom you work. Have you made a conscious effort to touch the lives of others with the love of Jesus Christ? And here's the final question. When your race is over, what will the Master say about your life? It's important that your friends comment favorably about your life. It's even more important that your family remember you fondly. But what will the Master say about your life? Will he say that you have been a faithful servant of Christ? Christ looks for people who understand what sacrifice and self-giving is all about. It is to them that he will say, welcome, you good and faithful servant. It is to those who are totally poured out in the service to others that he will open the gates to his kingdom. How will you be remembered? What will be your legacy? Whose life will be better because you have been here? What will Christ say as he welcomes you into his kingdom? St. Paul came to the end of his life, and here is what he had to say. For I am already being poured out like a libation, and the time of my departure is at hand. I have competed well. I have finished the race. I have kept the faith. From now on, the crown of righteousness awaits me, which the Lord, the just judge, will award me on that day. And not only me, but to all who have longed for this practice. May God bless you and keep you safe, and may you always keep open to the Lord and allow him to give you the graces to do the best you can in everything you're doing. God bless.